Hip hip hooray! It's time for Be Free Kids, and today we've got a great lesson from the life of Jesus. Let's make sure we listen in to Miss Betsy, who's always great, and to all of our stories. Listen up and learn about Jesus today, kiddos.
Good morning, boys and girls. I'm happy to be here with you again today. I want you to think for a moment. Have you ever heard the word faith? You may have heard this word, but do you have any idea what it means? What does it mean to have faith in someone? You think about that, and I'm going to do a little activity with Mr. Mike that might help you understand a little more about faith. Okay, Mr. Mike is blindfolded. Can you see anything, Mr. Mike?
Nope.
Okay, great. Now, Mr. Mike needs to walk from the spot he's in now all the way to his big comfy chair over here, okay? But he's blindfolded, and you know what? There's lots of obstacles in the way. Do you see those? Now, it's going to be my job to give him very good directions so he can get to his chair without bumping into anything. You ready, Mr. Mike?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, can you take 2 steps forward? Okay, maybe one more little step forward. Okay, now turn to your left. Okay, can you take 2 steps forward? And turn to your left again. Okay, how about 1 giant step? Oh, so far so good. He hasn't bumped into anything. Okay, Mr. Mike, can you turn to your right? And take 2 steps forward. Okay, can you turn to your left now? And take 1 step forward? Now you can turn to your right and take 2 steps forward. Okay. Can you turn to your left? Nope. I'm sorry. Turn to your right. Turn to your right again and take 2 steps forward. Okay, now turn left and step forward. You made it to the chair. Nice job. That was pretty fun, right? Okay, in order to get to his chair, Mr. Mike had to have faith in his guide, which was me. If he tried to walk there on his own, he wouldn't have made it, right? Without bumping into something because he couldn't see. And if I wasn't trustworthy, telling Mr. Mike the truth about where the obstacles were and where to turn, he wouldn't have made it. And if he decided not to trust what I said, he wouldn't have made it. Mr. Mike had to trust. He had to have faith. In our story today from the Jesus Storybook Bible, we are going to meet 2 people who also had to have faith in someone. What they got as a result is amazing. Let's find out what faith meant to them.
Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story whispers his name. Written by Sally Lloyd-Jones and read by David Suchet. A little girl and a poor, frail lady. There was once a little girl who didn't get out of bed one morning, or the next, or the next. In fact, she didn't get out of bed for a whole month. She was very sick, and no one knew how to make her better. Jairus was her daddy, and he loved her. One day, He was sitting by her bed, holding her hand, wishing there was something he could... "I know," he said. He jumped to his feet, put on his coat, kissed his daughter, ran down the steps, past the servants, out of the house, through the gates, along the road, into the town, up the steps, and into the temple. He fought his way through all the people until at last he found who he was looking for. "Jesus," he said, falling at Jesus' feet. "My daughter," he pleaded, "please, But he didn't need to beg, because before he'd even finished speaking, Jesus reached out his hand and helped him up. "I'll come at once," Jesus said. Jairus' eyes filled with tears. Jesus was coming. It would be all right. In those days, of course, they didn't have ambulances, so they had to go by foot. Jesus' helpers knew that he would heal the sick girl, but they must hurry. If Jesus didn't get there soon, it would be too late. But everyone was in the way, hustling and bustling, jostling and pressing, pushing and shoving, squishing and squashing. The disciples ran ahead, forcing back the crowd. Suddenly, Jesus stopped. His friends looked back. What was he doing? "Who touched me?" Jesus asked, because he felt power go out of him. "Me," said a frail lady, looking down at the ground because she was ashamed. The poor lady had been sick for 12 years, and she had to get well. She knew if she only touched Jesus' coat, she would be healed. So she touched his coat, and instantly she was well. "We don't have time," Jesus' friends said. But Jesus always had time. He reached out his hands and gently lifted her head. He looked into her eyes and smiled. "You believed," he said, wiping a tear from her eye. "And now you are well." Just then, Jairus' servant rushed up to Jairus. It's too late," he said breathlessly. "Your daughter is dead." Jesus turned to Jairus. "It's not too late," Jesus said. "Trust me." At Jairus' house, everyone was crying. But Jesus said, "I'm going to wake her up." Everyone laughed at him because they knew she was dead. Jesus walked into the little girl's bedroom, and there, lying in the corner, in the shadows, was the still little figure. Jesus sat on the bed and took her pale hand. "Honey," he said, "it's time to get up." And he reached down into death and gently brought the little girl back to life. The little girl woke up, rubbed her eyes as if she'd just had a good night's sleep, and leapt out of bed. Jesus threw open the shutters, and sunlight flooded the dark room. "Hungry?" Jesus asked. She nodded. Jesus called to her family. "Bring this little girl some breakfast." Jesus helped and healed many people like this. He made blind people see. He made deaf people hear. He made lame people walk. Jesus was making the sad things come untrue. He was mending God's broken world.
There were two people in the story that had to have faith in Jesus. Do you remember who? Yep, Jairus and the poor lady. Now, Jairus had a little daughter who was very sick. He loved her so much, but he couldn't make her well. What do you think he must have been thinking? What can I do? I need a miracle. My poor daughter, I feel so helpless. He may have been thinking these things. But then he had an idea to go find Jesus. He races as quickly as he can to find Jesus. And what was Jesus' response? That he would help. Jesus followed Jairus back to his house, but they didn't get there in time, did they? Jairus' daughter had died. Imagine what Jairus was thinking then. He must have been devastated. But Jesus says, trust me. Have faith in me. When they get back to Jairus' house, Jesus brings the dead girl back to life. Wow, that's pretty incredible, right? Jesus made her alive again. He can make sad things come untrue. And what about our other character in the story who had faith? The poor woman? She had been sick for 12 years. Can you imagine that? That's older than all of you are. That's a long time to be sick. The woman knew that Jesus had the power to heal her. She trusted. She had faith that all she needed to do was touch his cloak and she would be healed. Now, did Jesus scold her and say, "How dare you touch me?" No, he didn't. He praised her for her faith. He tells her that because she had faith, that she would be healed. And she was. Jesus is so powerful that he can make a sick person better instantly. He's so powerful that he can raise a dead girl back to life. How are Jairus and the poor lady similar? They both had faith in Jesus. They trusted him. They believed he was all powerful, that he could do anything. Jairus and the poor woman had faith in Jesus. Do you have faith in Jesus? Do you believe he is who he says he is? That he is all powerful? That he loves you and wants your best? That's my prayer for you, friends, that you will have faith, that you will trust and believe. See you next time.
Mark 5:30 through 34. Jesus realized at once that healing power had gone out from him. So he turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my robe?" His disciples said to him, "Look at this crowd pressing around you. How can you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But he kept on looking around to see who had done it. Then the frightened woman, trembling at the realization of what had happened to her, came and fell on her knees in front of him and told him what she had done. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over."
God made everything that I see. By his word this world came to be. When I doubt, I know he's with me. Well, I know God made everything that I see. By his word this world came to be. When I doubt, I know he's with me. Well, I know my faith is in you. I know that you are true. I believe when I can't see. You are real. No matter what I feel, there's proof, no mystery. My faith is in you. God made everything that I see. By his word this world came to be. When I doubt, I know he's with me. Well, I know God made everything that I see. By his word this world came to be. When I doubt, I know he's with me. I know my faith is in you. I know that you are true. I believe when I can't see. that I see. By his word this world came to be. When I doubt, I know he's with me. Well, I know my faith is in you.
Well, that's our lesson for today, kiddos. Thanks, Miss Betsy, for a great lesson, and Mr. Mike for helping out. Thanks to Jesus Storybook Bible for sharing Jesus with us today, and thanks to Kids Spring Ministry for our awesome song. Everyone have a great week, and we'll see you real